Howdy folks. Today's razor going to be using, let's see if I can get it to where you can see what this one is. This is a shield razor and it takes half of a DE blade. Probably should show you that side right there because that's going to be important right there on the design of this particular razor. It takes half of a DE blade, and get this taken apart here. You can kind of see how it's made right there on the bottom, the base plate, and then the cap, on how all that fits together, and see how it's slanted there. When you take it apart, that's what the base plate looks like on the underside. And oh, by the way, I've got over 30 shaves with this particular razor. I spent quite a bit of time with it, and it is a very smooth, mild razor, but don't let the mild fool you in a way of efficiency. This is what the cap looks like. And if you're familiar with using single edge blades, especially like DE blades, you might be kind of sort of inclined to put the business end of the blade pointing this way. It goes actually the other way. The business end comes out on this end. Typically, in other words, you know how it looks like it's sloped right there? That's usually the bevel that's, preset for the shave and whatnot. But in this case, that's not where the business end of the blade goes. So thought I would point that out about this particular razor. Like I said, I've got numerous shaves with it, and it is a very nice shaver. Going to use a feather blade. Going to go ahead, and this is how I snap them in half. It's pretty easy. You can kind of see that it's relatively safe. Don't have any problems. Never had any problems with snapping them like this. And this feather blade will be the first use on it. Matter of fact, it'll be the first time I've used a feather blade in this particular shaver. I have used a number of different blades in this shield razor. I've used a Derby blade, Persona, Tree Platinum, Lord Platinum, Permasharp. Oh, the list just goes on and on and on. I have used several different blades, and all of them, for me, at least my experience, have worked out rather well. Like I said, I'll show you what this blade looks like. Get it installed here. And it will take, whether it's a DE blade snapped in half, or if they're pre-cut, and I've used numerous pre-cuts. Most of those blades I just mentioned, they were pre-cut. Fits right in there perfectly every time. Just a really nice setup here. I think the part of the design that makes this shaver so nice is the fact that that blade is firmly held in place. There might be some razors you may have had some experience over time where the might feel some vibration from the blade. I don't feel anything of the sort with this blade, with this shaver. It works quite well. Well designed. Probably the best place to find these shield razors is over on BullGoose. And I find that this shaver is well made, one that'll last you your lifetime going into the next if you take care of it. It's just something that if you're interested in an everyday shaver that is smooth and comfortable but still yet efficient, for me, I find that this shaver, it is fantastic. It was brought to me by the way of a trade. Craig and Lorenzo was looking for a mongoose. If you're unfamiliar with the mongoose, it's, I guess you might say, the little brother of the mongoose that was made a few years back. The mongoose takes feather Artists Club style blades, but the mongoose took injector blades. And I happened to have one, and we worked out a trade, and that's how I ended up with this shield razor. And made a fantastic trade, because this shaver is, I really do enjoy it. It is really easy to use. Soap of the day. This will be my first time go with fine artist accoutrements, however you want to Mr. Fine. Anyhow, this is snake bite. This particular one, let's see here. Yeah, you can see the little symbol right there. It is made in Italy. And I'll show you what this soap looks like if you're unfamiliar with it. I have had fine aftershaves for a few years now. Never tried the soap. Always been interested in the aftershave and just never got to the soap. Well, finally decided to go ahead and try some, and snake bite was one of the first ones I decided to get. And that's what it looks like there on the underside. This soap is, it might be considered a crope. It's not a hard, but it's firm soap. You can push your finger in there pretty easy. Not a whole lot of pressure. It's relatively soft, easy to whip up. Um, I like how these kind of soaps work out for me, at least my experience has been this way. Whipped it up with this one here, Vielong horsehair brush. This one here, I've had this brush for a while. The new labels look a little bit different, somewhat different than what they look on this one here, which more or less this particular style is still available if you look long enough for it. This is what it looks like whipped up here in the small, I call it small, the way it was advertised, a medium-sized wooden bowl. It's a pretty nice little bowl. It's lightweight, doesn't have a lot of weight to it. But this scent, your nose might pick up the menthol, maybe you might smell eucalyptus. Anyhow, it is fantastic for my nose. My nose, I've had issues with it for many, many years. And these kind of soaps and aftershaves work great for my nose. Definitely opens up the sinuses. I can actually smell it on any given day. Doesn't matter, I can still smell it. But anyway, I've already put a hot towel to the face this morning. That's my pre-shave routine per se. And the pre-shave soap is this one here's Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. This one here is like a chocolate type flavor, and it usually comes out before February, or right around February, because it's I think that's the time frame this one here is usually released. In other words, I don't think it's available right now, but closer to February, it usually comes around, being a chocolate flavor. February chocolates, Valentine's Day, all that sort of thing. But like I said, not only that, I should mention with this particular razor, with the different blades that I have used, I've used different soaps, including Parasso. Matter of fact, a whole tub of green Parasso. I used a lot of Parasso. I've had this shaver for definitely more than 30 days. That's just how many shaves I've had with it. I mean, it really is a nice daily shaver. I didn't find that it took very long for me to figure out how to get a very close shave with it, BBS if you will. I'm already familiar with how the beard grows on my face, and in certain places it grows in many different directions. And once you figure that out, believe it or not, it doesn't really take much effort to get a very close, efficient shave with this razor. Smell it definitely opens up my nose. Fantastic. I just really like these kind of scents. Works well for my nose. Now with a feather blade, some will consider the feather blade the sharpest on the planet. With this being a mild razor, and if you had some feather blades, maybe you felt that they were a little too harsh in a particular razor you're trying them in, a razor like this might be the best fit. I don't find that this blade is any more aggressive than the others I've tried. Feels pretty smooth, especially for my beard type. And you might get more shaves out of a feather blade in a razor like this. Razor's really easy to use. Really can't, how can you say, stress that enough, that for somebody that's looking for a daily driver, something to use without having to have a huge learning curve, don't really have to focus too terribly much on your shave. Especially makes it easy here in the when you're shaving and talking. A razor like this is great to have. So hopefully that a lot of that information will give you some sort of idea what the razor is all about. You can use, been able to use numerous different types of blades, get relatively smooth, comfortable shaves. 2 or 3 shaves out of a blade that maybe I normally wouldn't use more than that. And I usually stopped at 3. Half of a DE blade makes it pretty darn inexpensive, and I feel like there's no reason to push off chance of getting a bad shave. So after about 3 shaves, I usually pitch the blade. And with some blades, your shave might be closer to, once you do it 3 times on half a DE blade, you're talking about maybe a penny, just depending on the blade and how expensive it was. But this is a really easy to use razor. I also find it, how can you say, easier to experiment with, because you can try different angles, different ways of shaving, and the risk of ending up with a bad shave is pretty minimal. So you can experiment with a few different things, a different kind of soap, different pre-shave routine, whatever the case might be, and not be too terribly worried about ending up with razor burn or nicks, cuts, or anything like that. I'm not saying you can't end up with nicks and cuts with this one here, but I'd have to say you'd have to really make a big mistake in order for that to happen. Pretty easy to use. I would compare, if you're familiar with Supply's single edge razor. They came out not too terribly long ago. The one that looks like it has an open cone to it. I would relate it to that, being very easy, smooth, comfortable to use. That's one of the reasons why I went ahead and made the trade with the for this razor here, is because I had already had Supply razor that uses injector blades that I really do enjoy using. Just really didn't find myself reaching for the BullGoose very often. Nice shaver, don't have anything against it. It's just that I just guess you might say fell in love with the Supply razor and felt like that was my go-to when it comes to injector razors, as it goes for using injector blades. At Arts Club blades, I have a, what do you call it? It's from Classic Shaving, Ockman's razor. Just depends on which direction you want to go with the naming convention of that particular razor. It is a very nice razor. I've got a few of that style that are really easy to use, smooth, comfortable. Did end up with a little bit of a weeper down there, which for me, down on my neck, on occasion, it does happen. Just not very often. Probably my worst or most troublesome spot is not that particular one, which I've been kind of sort of battling with for a while. It's right here, and to a lesser degree over here, more so over here. Certain razors I have to be very careful about how I shave, pressure, direction, because I'll end up with a strawberry patch. In other words, a whole bunch of weepers in one place, and it usually happens right about there. Usually with a gym style razor blade is where I have to be kind of careful with, right in there. It can get a bit testy. Over the years, that's been going on ever since I started shaving. All right, alum block. I still have been using this alum block well over a year. Got this particular one from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements years ago. This is what I got left of it. It's still hanging on. It is definitely going to make it to the new year if I don't drop it. As it goes for use for the alum block, some people only use it when they need to, like if you got a rough shave, or maybe like right there if you got a weeper or something of the sort. I found that I have a need to use the witch hazel with the alum block as opposed to using the alum block by itself. I felt like when I just used the alum block, my face felt dried out and didn't feel all that great afterwards, and felt like that I really needed to use a witch hazel afterwards. And today I'm going to use Humphrey's. This one here is rose scented, and there's not a whole lot left on this one. Yes, I have been shaving. I think I may have forgot to mention at the beginning of this, I had 2 days worth of growth. I guess you might say, just to give you a good idea how well it works. It has no problems taking down the beard growth. Don't let mild shaver, I guess you might say, turn you away from it if you're not real keen on the mild shavers. It's a mild shaver that because it's smooth and comfortable, but it's still yet efficient. Uh, what I said, 30 some odd shaves with this one here in quote unquote a relatively short amount of time. In other words, I'm changing out shavers about every other day, every day, something like that. In other words, quite frequently. And for having that many shaves on this one here, boy, this razor is fantastic. I think the weight on this one here is like 2.4, 2.5 ounces or 68 grams or something like that. In other words, it's not real heavy, it's not super light, it's that in-between spot. It's a nice shaver. I can't say enough about it. Now this aftershave, I've had more than one bottle. This one here, following up with snake bite. Oh, I should also show my soap came in this particular box right here. Is what it came in. For some people, this might be a thing, might be something that they appreciate more. I know for me, the packaging like this, to me, is pretty cool. Just the little slogans, you know, that come along with the box. You open it up and right here, I mean, just all the little things for me, I do appreciate, because if you're like into looking at old advertisements that are like 60, 70 years old and all the things that they would say, you know, in other words, like here, burns like the devil, freezes like the Rockies, you know, just stuff like that. I just, you know, I like stuff like that. And, you know, many years from now, something like this right here might appeal to somebody that they might find interesting. But like here it says, guaranteed tenfold to increase in vigor, bravery, and pluck. The weak become strong, the lazy become lively, and the meek become leaders of men. Yeah, all that's right there on the label. So stuff like that, to me, I find it's a selling point for me. I do like that. That's what the restrictor looks like on this particular one. I do not have a new container of this flavor. I do have one of another flavor that I've yet to open. I think it's like the orange or whatever. I think that's the one. To go with the soap that I picked up. One of the ones I'll try out in the future. But yes, you want to be, when you get done putting this on, you definitely want to make sure you wash your hands well. Because if your eyes itch like mine do, you get this in your eyes, yeah, you're going to be crying. Your eyes are not going to be happy. I feel the nice cooling effect, like it mentions, you know, it's going to start to burn, and then you'll feel the cooling sensation. And for me, it feels great for my nose. Really enjoy using stuff like this. Hope this was informative. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe, stay healthy. Smooth shaves to you.